auf dem in Sprach, wer bekommt noch, wer kriegt die Macht, wer in Busse zu Fuß, am wer who geht's to see, am wer Tisch, who gets to eat, who gets to be the dish, I think I'll do an old song now. This song is called. Well, this was the anthem of the Jewish Labor Bund, a really big movement of class solidarity across Eastern Europe from the 1880s until about World War II, and was founded in outside of Vilna, Lithuania, in I think right before 1900, and this song was kind of out by 1901 as the anthem of the Bund, and a really powerful composition. It was written by Shin Ansky, who he was a folklorist, playwright, political activist. He also wrote the Dybbuk. I don't know if you've heard that amazing play, and so he researched. He was one of the first ethnographers, folklorists, and researched rituals and folk practices in Jewish shtetls and shtetlis, little villages, and different like in the Dybbuk, there's a lot about demon possession and magic and stuff. And one of the things that's a folk tradition you come across a lot in Ashkenazi Yiddish culture is the power of words, whether it's a spell or the name or not saying something if you don't want that thing to happen. And there's an expression in Yiddish, bli nadir. Anytime you say that you're going to do something, you say bli nadir, which I think it's Aramaic, which means not an oath. Just in case that God heard it, the spirits of the universe heard it, and you'll be bound for all time. Yeah, that's right. The kol nidre, the same bli nadir as in the kol nidre, to annul the vows once a year. And the power of the liturgical moments of the year is just to get you out of these potential oaths. So he really knew what he was doing when he wrote the anthem of the Bund as an oath. So it shows his kind of take, I feel on theater, where it's a theatrical moment that he was creating, but it's also real. It's an oath that by speaking those words, every time the song was sang or heard, it recommitted people to this generation's long struggle against colonialism. So I'll sing it now, and don't worry, it only will affect you for 8 or 9 generations, and then there's certain ceremonies you can use to get out of it. So if it's a problem, see me and we can work it out. If not,
if you're planning on being a robber baron and this is really going to fuck with your
group. That's right. Yeah. And this is called the Schwur, the Bundistische Schwur. Bride Schwester von Arbeit und Leid, alle wo sein sie lebt und sie schreit, zusammen, zusammen die von Israel. Sie flattert von Sorgen, von Blut, die sie rein. Aschwur, am Leben und Tod. Im Leben uns euch Herren. Hey, bis wird sein, die richtig sterben. Aschwur von Blut und Schwur von Leben. Wir schweben, wir schweben. Brothers before us to a common struggle swore. The countless before us and yet to be born. Together, together we'll stand the flood. The promise we've inherited that pounds in our blood. We swear again, we swear again, we swear again. The stars in the ancient sky, the earth slowly turning, bore witness to its birth. When hope, grief, and yearning in flames forged a promise that is never stopped burning. We swear again, we swear again, we swear again that we'll recall the path that our ancestors paved, dismantling the systems that keep us enslaved. Together, together in every age, we'll lift again the tear-stained flag of love and of rage. We swear again, we swear again, we swear again. The stars in the ancient sky, the earth slowly turning, bore witness to its birth. When hope, grief, and yearning in flames forged a promise that is never stopped burning. We swear again, we swear again, we swear zusammen, zusammen die Vorne steht. Sie flattert vom Sorgen, vom Blut, die sie lebt. Aschwur, am Leben und Tod. I'm gonna do a song. This is a song I wrote inspired by a friend who I learned Yiddish from, the guy in his 90s, and he had worked as a trucker in the Soviet Union after World War II, and was telling me once about the trips in Siberia that they would make, where this was like in the 50s. the roads would be snowed over, and so they would just set a compass course and go like drive across the white expanses, and have to have their food and all the fuel that they might need. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we drove out here from Santa Fe, so I kind of had to channel that a little bit. The Great American Road. I mean, I guess the distances really don't really compare to just driving 7 days into the tundra. But I thought that was just such a powerful metaphor for life and death. There's an expression in Yiddish when someone passes away. That's another thing that it's hard to say in Yiddish because people want to avoid saying die or death. But one of the expressions is "Rein in der Ewigkeit," into forever. And I thought that was a beautiful expression that reminded me of that disappearance into the roadless snow. I also researched on Google about this. I'm not a religious person, but I heard that when the Creator made our universe, they also made 300 or so others, and ours is like the lowest one. It's kind of the drainage system. None of the other ones have oligarchy or they're pretty. They're a step up from this one, and I wanted to find out the exact number, and it's 310 that were created. I didn't want to misquote that. I felt like that would be bad if I hadn't done my research. So that's in the song. Just thinking about loss, and if you lose something, how hard it really is to find. Because even if you just search everywhere in our universe, you still have 309 to go.
Es dreist lin scho
ותייגת זיכרון. און השקופון Well, we started this trip about 10 days ago. My partner and I left from New Mexico, and we barely left in time because of the holiday season, which is not the high holidays, and it's not that we were celebrating Easter or Christmas, but it's this new holiday of Chag Dag that a 6-year-old in Santa Fe invented, and they were taking Hebrew lessons and going through the letters and learning Chag and Dag and Pag and Mag. And Chag means holiday, and Dag means fish. And so when they learned Chag and Dag, they said, well, when are we going to celebrate fish holiday? And luckily their mom was really cool about it and got some of the grown-ups together to meet this kid's demand for a fish holiday. And we've been celebrating it now for 3 years. And it's a very festive occasion for the kids, and you have to eat 3 kinds of fish to fulfill the mitzvah of the holiday. But there's lots of rules about what constitutes a fish, if a Swedish fish is a fish, if a goldfish is a fish, what can vegans do. It gets really complicated. There's a lot of debates. And each community has their own traditions, so there's a lot of fights.
Is there a date?
The date is the 9th of Sivan. So this year was like June 3rd. But it's permissible to celebrate on other dates.
Wow.
Because there's no enforcing body yet for that. So that's part of it. Yeah.
No enforcing school of fish.
Yeah, that's right. There's no school of fish, which is the official school of fish.
You have that.
Yeah. I've been collecting fish puns from audiences since I started doing this song. So this is a song that I created so that there would be some, deep history to the holiday, just like our other made-up Jewish holidays. So this is kind of a song that goes back, like if it was in the 1930s or 20s, one of those kind of like 78 RPM songs where they're hyping Purim or Hanukkah, but this one is for the fish. And it starts with this dedication that includes, I've been interviewing the kids, which sea creatures in particular that they want to include. And they insisted to include also seagulls, even though they're not actually sea creatures, and crabs that live on the beach. And today we were walking at the low tide, and I saw some real wondrous creatures that it's going to be really interesting to bring back to the kids and see if they would like to include these gooey objects into the song. And finding the Yiddish words is going to be very complicated.
Yep.
Because I have no idea what they're called in English. But I'm going to try to incorporate some of that as well. Okay, so it starts with this. Unig soll abgespielt werden, daran fein Maseltag, für alle Fisch, für alle Haifisch, für alle Medusas, those are the jellyfish, für alle Neves, those are the seagulls, for the Yamsternblech, the sea stars, the Yamschneckers, the sea snails, the Rakes, the crabs, the verglibberte, mushy, dumped out goo balls. So, wir haben noch ganz fein Chagdag und so, wir haben Brochen, Haslochen, nicht noch auf Chagdag, noch alle Tag von der ganzen Jahr und die Danke! Schön Chagdag, durch den Wasser mit der Zigzag, ja, mit Fisch, frisch, oi munter frisch, on a buntun, on a blek. A Fahrerram, mit Ding zum Ram, a doi wie fisch in mitten jam, oi, 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 frei mir, on a schiffe, on tippig. Is macht mit der Flussfeder patsch, 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 mit der Fluss und mit der Rasch, da beim Jan Tisch, die Flinte von die Fisch. Today's Chagdag, today's Chagdag, the fish are in the synagogue. Today's the day I'll pray for the oceans to be free. Fish and whale with fins and scales, octopi and aquatic snails. Today's the day they shout hooray for the creatures of the sea. Hooray! So put on your suits and your bathing caps, snap those fins with a clap, clap, clap. The fish's favorite time of year, Chagdag is finally here. So put on your suits and your bathing caps, snap those fins with a clap, clap, clap. The fish's favorite time of year, Chagdag is finally here. Everybody, la 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 la. Is macht mit die Flussfeder patsch, 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 mit der Flucht und mit der Rasch, da waren ja die Fisch, die Simche von die Fisch. So put on your suits and your bathing caps and slap those fins with a clap, clap, clap. The fish's favorite time of year, Chagdag is finally here. Happy Chagdag! Just like you might have noticed that sometimes, like right after Halloween, you start hearing Christmas music. This is a holiday that is even bigger, and like really like 4 or 5 days after Chagdag, you start gearing up again. So this is the appropriate time to really start getting your Chagdag decorations all in order and decorating your houses, because you want to have the next 11 months to be really hyping the day. So yeah, I do some work with kids, some collaborations with kids, like that Chagdag. I recently the kind of debut Yiddish album I had been working on for many years came out in 2 parts the past 2 years. First, The Heart Deciphers, which is an album for grown-ups, and then the second part of it was all recorded at once, but kind of ended up dividing out these songs for kids and families, which became this album over here. My name is Panta Kozak and I blow up like a blowsack, and other Yiddish songs for kids. And there's a beautiful art book in there, and you can see on the cover, I think, there's this creature, who is the title character of Panta Kozak, yeah. And he's quite a monstrous being. And oh yeah, there you can see. Thank you, Steph, for illustrating. Yeah. He's got lots of noses on his noses, and lots of sets of eyes, and 7 fingers with 7 knuckles. And I didn't make this up. This is from an old. What's that? A chicken. Yeah, one of his steeds is a chicken.
Nice.
He's got a pet wolf there. Who helps pull his sleigh. Yeah, I didn't make that up just to traumatize children. It's another thing I got from my friend Misha, who I was mentioning before, was the trucker in the Soviet Union, and he grew up. He was like 14 at the time of the German invasion of eastern Poland, and I think the when the Bolsheviks annexed, he was like in the first grade. So before that, he had all his elementary school in Yiddish, and grew up in a community a rural community where the kids ran around speaking Belarusian and Yiddish and Polish, and remembered a ton of folk sayings and children's literature and kind of rhymes, like child lore. And I think maybe particularly being at the end of his life, a lot of that stuff was coming back into his head. And he had incredible memory, and would just recite stuff. And he remembered a couple of these lines about this monster Pantakozak that his sister would tell him when he was going to bed, so that he wouldn't get up. He would be too scared to get up or to ask for a drink of water or after she got done putting to bed. So I was able to take those parts that he remembered, those fragments, and I found two full versions through the Yiddish Book Center. One was published in Vilna, which is probably the version that his sister got in school or something, and then one was actually published in Mexico City in the 1920s. And he was sitting around with him at the table. He was always, remembering myths or fables, and whatever line would come to his head, he would, whether it was like a line that his mom or sister said, or his dad was a Waldseeker, a woods merchant. He sold the trees or the woods and the lumber. So the forestmen in their labor and their old sayings or something, a song from his neighbors, and he would just straight up blurt them out, whether he was eating a bite of salted trout or a homemade pickle and brine, or having a little sip of wine. So one Sunday in December, I don't know what made him remember, but it filled him up with glee, and he turns and looks at me and he starts telling me this myth, and the beat he told it with just kept repeating and repeating, like a drum somewhere was beating and a pulse somewhere was pounding, tuning out all my surroundings and calling up this crazy being till it felt like I was seeing him right there in Misha's kitchen. So if I have your permission, I will tell to you this fable, and as best as I am able, I will tell it in translation, even if his recitation makes me shake and makes me shudder like a ship without a rudder, because it's really kind of ghostly, but it turns out okay mostly. So I'll go back now to start it with the words that he imparted. He said, Wer geht es wie Blinde und fragbar nach Kinder, was weinen in die Wiegen, wenn sie willen still nicht liegen? That means, whose it comes a-creeping when the children should be sleeping, and requests to see those whom he has heard of got the zoomies, who ignore the clock completely when they should be resting sweetly, and who run around instead of going when they should to bed? Why, that's old Pantakozak, who blows up like a blowsack, and he ties his pants with ratchets, and he carries sharpened hedges, and his teeth have no enamel, and his back's hunched like a camel, and estus like hametas, and and he chews like a koala, and he eats 12 loaves of challah. His hands have 7 knuckles, and his shoes have shiny buckles, and he smells up all the roses with the noses on his noses. His mustaches are 7, and his freckles are 11. He speaks in tongues of 20, and his breath is never minty. He never showers, he never shaves, and he mostly lives down in a cave. But when the night birds flutter and people shut their shutters, dann nimmt Hack und Messer und macht sie guten Kräftig und ich hab sie guten besser. Means he takes out his machete and starts sharpening till he's sweaty, and he roughs it rough and ragged, and he makes his jag more jagged, and without even a holder, he throws it over his shoulder. And he hitches 3 coyotes who howl so wild and throaty to pull his sleigh so speedy. And speedily indeed he calls to 2 big German pilots, who then take the helm like pirates, with 2 snakes to do the whipping and 2 bears alongside zipping, and they all howl in a chorus as they ride out from the forest. Und wenn kommt zum Städtel, nimmt Reuser Zettel, und lehnt wie Blinde, die nehmen von die Kinder, wo's weinen die Wegen, und sie will nicht legen. Means that when he comes to nearing, his eyes strain in the peering. He's carefully unfolding. On the list his hands are holding are the names of all those whom he has heard have got the zoomies, who ignore the clock completely when they should be resting sweetly, and who run around instead of going when they should to bed. So still riding at full throttle, he takes a guzzle from a bottle and hops from his sleigh so speedy, and speedily indeed he takes to walking really seedy, while his eyes dart red and greedy. Oh, behold a door, they glisten, and he sneaks up close to listen, and he knocks, his eyes all shining. Are those kids that I hear whining? It's me, old Pantakozak, was it blowsack be a blowsack, and I tie my pants with ratchets, and I carry sharpened hatchets, and my teeth have no enamel, and my back hunched like a camel, and I have so swell hametas, and I hops like a plates, and I chew like a koala, and I eat 12 loaves of challah, and my hands have 7 knuckles, and my shoes have tiny buckles, and my mustaches are 7, and my freckles are 11. I speak in tongues of 20, and my breath is never minty, and I smell up all the roses with the noses on my noses. I came to hear the chatter of the kids who click and clatter, because I like to hear the clamor of the kids in their pajamas who run around instead of going when they should to bed and who ignore the clock completely when they should be resting sweetly. So while those words are landing, their zoomies notwithstanding, the kids' pulses start to quicken, and they clamor panic-stricken to the beds they had rejected, knowing that they'll be protected. And they pull the covers tight, acting all sweet and polite, and they don't say 5 more minutes, because they know that now is when it's finally time to rest their voices, and they make the best of choices. So that's when Pantakozak blows up like a blowsack and hitches up his stripy trousers to go find other rabble-rousers. But if instead they're out of hand and make a fuss to meet the band, und they weinen und schreien alle, und sie willen darf Challe, und sie seien große Schreier, und sie willen darf Feier, and they don't use inside voices and they make the worst of choices, well then he's off to the races making strange and funny faces, and he calls his voice a trembling to his little helper gremlins. He says, "Komm, gieche meine Schäden und mach a Loch in Baden." And they come to where he's at and they grab the little brats to his cavern, take them straight out, and he makes them peel potatoes. He sets a kettle boiling, and while the kids are toiling, peeling taters till they're sweaty, he starts sharpening his machete and taking guzzles from a bottle, drinking, and making guzzles all weird and glottal, saying, "Ich bin doch Pantakozak und ich bloß." And though his words are quite abstruse, the kids can easily deduce that he's taken away their freedom and he probably wants to eat them.
Yeah.
So once they start to feel he's looking at them like a meal in this cave so dark and dreary, then their little eyes get teary. And they climb up on a boulder and they pat him on his shoulder and they heben on him gleiten und kreuzgehen zu bed. And, "Oh, you nice old Pantakozak, but you blow up like a blowsack in your fancy stripy trousers when you get those rabble-rousers. Your hands have 7 knuckles and your shoes have shiny buckles and you eat 12 those ochala and you're cute like a koala and you smell up all the roses with the noses on your noses and your mustaches are 7 and your freckles are 11 and you speak in tongues of 20s and your breath is really minty. And you're just starting to meet us. Why would you want to eat us? We're not such rabble-rouser. We'll stay and mend your trousers, and we'll also sew you pillows with embroidered armadillos, and we'll also fix your shirts, and then we'll let you eat dessert." So that's when Pantakozak blows up like a blowsack, and his hunger notwithstanding, while those words are landing, wirft Asamin Guter, und geht dreht mit Putter, means he cold heart gives a shudder, and he gives them bread and butter, and he pats them on their head, and he gives their cheeks some squishes, and he hands them 7 dishes, and he tells them, "Go make knishes." And then he pats them on their head and says, "And after, make your bed." So they make all of the knishes, and they wash the 7 dishes, and they wipe off all the tables, and they read him a few fables. And once he's fast asleep, out of his cave they creep, and they start running very quickly through the forest, dark and swiftly, through the fields and over ridges, and geloff in the Befelder, and geloff in the Befelder, through the fields and the bridges, through the fields and in the ridges, and the valleys and the highlands, crossing channels, hopping islands, and through oceans, swim and swim, until they get back to their beds again. From that day on, they never thought of Pantakozak and his lot. The noses on his noses never crossed their mind, but they always went to bed on time. That's the true story of Pantakozak. I translated that painstakingly into English so that children today can learn important lessons. That a monster will come and steal them if they don't obey.
So basically, Hansel and Gretel meets Santa?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basically, yeah.
It bears a striking resemblance to Where the Wild Things Are.
Yeah? Yeah, it predates, I think it
I'm
predates
sure.
Santa and Where the Wild Things Are. Definitely American
Similar
Santa.
origins, yeah.
And Grimm.
Yeah,
Grimm story.
yeah, it doesn't predate them, I bet. So,
Is he a
yeah.
Cossack?
Yeah. What's that?
Oh,
Is he a Cossack?
Yes, he's a Cossack, yeah. That's also why he carries a knife and has
Yes.
stripy pants. and so many mustaches. Yeah. So there's important lessons in this, historical lessons.
Would you like some water?
Sure, is there some water?
Yeah, I got it.
Oh my. Oh, thank you so much.
Hi.
Well, in the meantime, I'll do so in these 2 bodies of work, the grown-up songs and the kids songs. They ended up kind of being separated into two discs. But I really like the songs that kind of connect them. I love children's literature that you can't tell if it's actually for grown-ups or, grown-ups literature that has some of that kids' music vibe. Thank you so much. And lullabies are traditionally one of the places those things intersect, because stuff that's really for babies, they can't understand what you're saying anyway. So in lots of traditions, that's a chance for the grown-ups to say whatever's on their mind and reflect on what it's like to be, trying to put the kid to sleep, whether they're saying, I wish you would go to sleep so I could go out on a date and I hate being a babysitter, or, there are songs where they, take the moment to explain to the kid how capitalism works, even though, just a baby. But so this is a Yiddish lullaby that I wrote that kind of uses riddles and myths like a lot of kids songs. And in particular, the imagery of New Mexico where I live, there's a monsoon season where everything gets really green and lush. And I had a niece who was born in that time where it was just the desert becomes this incredibly abundant place, and thinking of the vulnerability of a being born in that moment, not realizing that, it's not all just colostrum and beautiful flowers everywhere, that life actually in the desert gets pretty spiky, particularly given the society that we are passing on to these young beings. This is called Invite the Bev in the Faraway Mountains. And I recorded it in Yiddish, but I translated the second part to English, so I'll do part of it better. where the red mushroom grows, there lives a little fox whose name nobody knows. With 5 little kids, may no evil I behold, will be joining them this Saturday for supper in their den. What is it to forget a thing that never had to live? What can live that beast in? What meaning do you give to Cholem in Meich Valen bleibt ewig wach? Was zählt der Menschensruhe aus dem mit eins laufen bei Nacht? Go back to sleep now, little one, before the roosters wake you with their calling. For now, just float along the stream, this long and gentle dream, while in the desert such a quiet rain is falling. Just like the little fox in his den, try to fall back asleep again, while in the desert such a quiet rain is falling. Und wir alle singen so von allen Seiten klingen und der Reklamini drehen, weil sie nicht dahin und sie nicht dahin. Und als wird zerrissen, ab kleine Stücke Zeit. Und wenn ich später viel still und die jedes Lied um mir alle in einem gehen erschien und tief behagen dem Magen, es alles soll brennen, wir sollen bleiben frei. Ich weg die Telle, hey du weg die Kelle, als keine soll nicht hören, was mir reden still herum. Mit den Gefilden, mit den Händen machst du noch wilder, ein Anstellfahrten will, wo sie macht bei uns nicht da, ist mit Neues hacken die Fenster, herein in die Gespenster, der Norden, wie der tanzen alle Lied, sie da lachen beide, herein mit alle Schäden, weil in ihre Tänzen tanzen, uns mit die Schatten ganzen Alt, in erster Schritt und hochbehält mit die Fies und holt der ganze nach, und dann ist die kein mehr, was mir nimmt mit in Bad. Oh, bitte, schreibt Jebi, ein Gunare mehr, und keiner soll nicht wissen, was mir sein in alle Knie. Everybody singing with the bing diddy bim bam, no time to pontificate, and better not to complicate a situation while it's on its way from bad to worse. But when you hear the fiddle with a little, let's all join up our hands and dance to the rhythm of our final chant. That all of this will burn and the edicts be reversed. So burst the plates asunder and let the trumpets thunder, so nobody can hear the words we whisper in between. Be as noisy as you want and bring your tumult to the front, and then we'll act like we're embarrassed to be making such a scene. When we shatter all the window panes, we let the ghosts in with their chains, rattling to the rhythm as they cartwheel and rejoice. There's a hole between the rafters, they were attracted by our laughter. For a while there was a chance to disinvite them from our dance, but now we have no choice but to stomp our feet and sing, my friend. Let the fire burn bright, and no one will have to consider what we're keeping out of sight. If we clap our hands and call for more of all of what we crave, well, does it even matter anymore if we've become enslaved? Und wie ist dem Akkord? Der Schicke gestorben und der Schenke verdorben. Vor mir nicht genügte von die Zungen liegen Gottes von der schlechten Träum. Wachse komm her Bäum und schäl wie du willst mit heute Kloll. Bekommen in den Stamm, etwas Besseres von dem Schramm. Vor mir nicht genügte von die Zungen liegen Gottes mit der Yeah, I think I got time for like one more. Thank you guys so much for coming out, and yeah, this is a beautiful, beautiful crowd. We packed the Mossy Bottom.
The Mossy
on the
Bottom
floor,
of
so,
the 310th world.
Yes, yeah, the Mossy Bottom of World 310. And look at the address. It's basically from here. It looks like 310. Yeah. I mean, I don't think that would make a good Yelp review that this place is the, like, I think we should, phrase that in a, yeah.
Level up.
The records are incredible, and our world is falling apart, but the records are great. I wanted to do an old song to end. This is a song kind of for the end of beautiful moments like this, moments of sanctuary, people coming together, making community. It's a song, kind of sounds to me like even a medieval song for marking Havdalah, the end of Shabbos, of the kind of sanctuary and time on the from Friday night to Saturday night. So a song that would have been sung for many generations as the stars are coming out on Saturday night, and the time of kind of protection of sanctuary is ending, and you have to go back into the reality of the world. And The second part of it kind of sounds like it could be a drinking song from any culture. It's like, we'll raise the wine, we'll drink until the sun comes out, which kind of feels like it was almost like added on from another tradition, because that's not really a end of Shabbos practice. Maybe on the first part, you would start by celebrating that hard, but Saturday night is kind of a moment of sadness as it's ending. But then the first part of the song is just a beautiful prayer for the health of and well-being of everyone, safety, and it was popularized in Yiddish by this great singer Adrian Cooper, who kind of dug up a lot of old songs and kind of brought them into a more secular context. And I translated it into this version into English this past winter, kind of just thinking of the wars all around and the violence people are facing, and also in our country, just so many people leaving their doors in the morning and not knowing that they're going to be home safely. So it's just a prayer for safety and well-being.
For food and water, for sun
to
And this is the hat where you can part with some of your cash. Jordan has come from Santa Fe.
Where do you go next?
Olympia? Oh, no, we're in Olympia.
Stay as long as you want.
Seattle, yeah, Seattle, and then Portland. Yeah. So tell your friends.
Where are you playing in Seattle?
The Royal Room?
The Royal Room.
Room.
Is that also
Yeah.
with Brivilla?
On Thursday.
Yes, with Brivilla. Yes.
On Thursday.
Yeah.
What are you doing until then?
Just party.